first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to spend time with you this afternoon. I'm always so inspired anytime I have a chance to just be in the same room as a group of entrepreneurs because the risk taking, the excitement, the blood, the sweat, and the tears that goes into pouring yourself, your mission, and your passion into the work you do is so incredibly inspiring. So I, first of all, just want to commend you for being here. You've carved out this time for yourself. You've carved out this time to pour into your personal, your professional development, and to pour into your business. And what you're really doing at the end of the day is you're deciding, just by being here, the legacy that you want to leave. You're making a decision. You're stepping up just by being here. You're deciding the type of legacy that you want to leave. And don't we all want to be known for something? To leave some kind of legacy. And when I think of legacy, I think about how it has to start with a vision, how it has to start with a picture, your imagination. You know, Albert Einstein once said that imagination is more important than knowledge, which is pretty crazy coming from a guy like him, right? And so today, during our time together, we're going to dive into how you can be the visionary, not only in your business, but in your life and in the legacy that you'll leave behind. And we're going to do that by diving into how you can live in your genius zone every single day. So who on earth am I? And why am I talking about being a visionary? So my name is Anna Dearmon Kornick. I'm a time management coach and host of It's About Time, a podcast sharing stories and strategies to inspire better work, life, and balance. I'm also a soon-to-be published author of the book Time Management Essentials hitting shelves in June, which absolutely blows my mind. But there's a little bit more to me than what you see on my LinkedIn profile. In addition to being a time management coach, I'm also a wife to Scott. I'm a mom to Camilla and Elizabeth. Camilla is my 4-year-old and Elizabeth is my 2-year-old. They are wild animals and I love them so much, even though they keep me up at night, literally. I'm a business owner. I'm a community volunteer. And I'm sure, just like me, you wear a lot more hats than whatever the headline on your LinkedIn profile says. I'm sure that you're also a partner, a spouse, a significant other. You're a dad, you're an aunt, you're a mentor or a leader. And in our businesses, in addition to those roles that we wear in our lives, in addition to our job title, there are 3 roles that exist in every business, no matter the size, no matter the type. And those 3 roles are technician, integrator, and visionary. Technician, integrator, and visionary. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of these 3 roles. And I want you to think to yourself, which of these roles are you showing up in most often? Now, first off is our technician. Our technician typically wears hats like sales, marketing, HR, finance. Someone who is a technician in their business, they execute the major functions. They execute the minor functions. And they're typically known as the doer of the things. They are the maker of the widgets, the designer of the designs, the speaker of the words, or the writer of the sentences. That is the technician. And then there's the integrator. Now, the integrator most often has a title like CEO or president. Maybe general manager, COO. The integrator, as you could imagine, integrates the different processes within the business. They run the organization. They make sure that the day-to-day issues are handled. They manage the technicians. They make sure that the technicians are doing their technical things. And an integrator is very often accountability driven. They're making sure that the work gets done. But then there's a third role, and that role is called the visionary. Similar to an integrator, the visionary also often has job titles like CEO, founder, owner. How many visionaries are in here right now? How many visionaries do I have? How many CEO, founders, owners do we have? Awesome. See? So the visionary is future focused. The visionary has the vision. They're the idea factory. The visionary is the role in the business that is constantly saying, we should do this, we should try this, let's go in this direction, let's live our mission in this way. They're typically very creative, culture-oriented, and they're often very emotional leaders. Now, in many businesses, the org chart would typically look like this. You've got your technicians along the bottom row. The technicians are then led by the integrator, and then the integrator takes their direction from the visionary. So like I said, this is typically what that looks like in larger organizations. But for many of us, especially when we're solopreneurs, we're in the early stages of our startup, this is instead what that org chart looks like. You are the visionary, you are the integrator, and you're the technician. That's a lot of responsibility to fall on one person's shoulders. And so today, we're going to dive deeper into how you can spend more time in that sacred visionary role, being that futuristic vision caster for your organization, getting yourself out of the weeds and into that planning and vision mode. So let's dive in. So today, we're going to start by identifying what exactly is in your genius zone. We all have one. Then we're going to fill our visionary toolbox with 4 different tools. And then finally, we're going to discuss 3 ways that you can become the visionary in your business today. So how do we often spend our time? Especially when we're in business mode. We're trying to get things off the ground. We're trying to make things happen. We're trying to serve our clients. We're trying to build whatever it is that we're building. And unfortunately, all too often, we spend our time distracted, being swept away by all of the little things on our plates. A lot of times, we get caught up in multitasking, thinking that we can do so many things at once, when in the end, it's our productivity and our impact that suffers. We spend our time doing low-impact work because we think, well, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to make it happen. Somebody's got to send the invoices and schedule the social media posts. And then sometimes, instead of acting with intention, we just randomly choose what to do next. Especially if you're more of an emotional, visionary type leader, you just kind of do whatever you feel like doing next. Like, oh, I feel like we should head in this direction, or I don't feel like doing bookkeeping for the month. I'm going to draw instead, whatever it is. We just randomly choose what to do next. But I think we can agree that as visionaries, we should be spending our time with more intention. We should be spending our time in the zone. We should be spending our time in that state of flow, where time somehow moves faster and stands still all at the same time, and you're so incredibly into what you're doing, and then you look up and hours have passed. We should spend our time doing what we do best instead of getting bogged down, spending our time spinning our wheels, trying to make our weaknesses into strengths. And then finally, we should spend our time doing what only we can do. What are those things that only you can do? That, my friends, is your genius zone. Those things that put you into a state of flow, that when you step into these activities, you just can't help but say, this is what I was made to do. So what is in your genius zone? We're going to answer that question today. Now, your genius zone lies at the intersection of passion and proficiency. Passion and proficiency. So when I say passion, these are the things that you love doing. These are the activities that absolutely set your soul on fire. And I'm sure that right now, just as you're hearing me say that, you can picture some of the things in your business that you absolutely love doing. I'm doing one right now. I am so passionate about speaking and sharing and teaching. This is something that I love doing. But then on the flip side, there's proficiency. Proficiency is a key part of the equation. And proficiency describes how good you are at doing something. How proficient are you at whatever the task at hand is? And so now I want you to imagine a grid. Well, I guess you don't have to imagine it because it's right here up on the screen. So let's think about passion and proficiency in terms of your Genius Zone roadmap. So if we have passion on the vertical axis and proficiency along the horizontal axis, we're then able to create 4 different zones of genius and a 5th that we'll talk about in just a bit. But those 4 zones within your Genius Zone roadmap are your distraction zone, your drudgery zone, your desire zone, and your disinterest zone. And then finally, your development zone, which is kind of an oddball. Your desire zone is your genius zone. So let me tell you a little bit about each of these 4 zones. And as I'm doing so, I really encourage you to think, what are those tasks? What are those activities that you're doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis? And which zone do they fall into? So we'll start with our distraction zone. So our distraction zone is for high passion and low proficiency activities. We love doing these things, but we are not very good at them. You know, one really great example for a lot of people is graphic design. It can be so fun to get into Canva or get into some graphic design program and customize a template or change the colors or move things around. But when you're not very good at it, is it the best use of your time? Especially if there is someone out there who this exact item falls in their genius zone. These items in our distraction zone, these are energizing time wasters. They're energizing time wasters because we have a lot of fun diving into these distracting activities. Instagram research, TikTok research, that's another really good example of something in your distraction zone. There are probably much better ways to conduct research besides just hopping over to Instagram. So these are in our distraction zone. So next up is our drudgery zone. And this is probably the easiest zone to think of examples because this is the stuff that you hate doing and you're not very good at it. Hello, I outsource my taxes for a reason. I do not need to be doing my taxes, and you probably don't either. So this is the stuff that you dread, your drudgery zone. Low passion, low proficiency, energy, sucking, horrible things to do. So next up is our disinterest zone. Now, items in this zone are kind of tricky, and very often these are the last items that we let go of as the visionaries in our business. We don't enjoy these activities. We have a very low level of passion for them. But the problem is that we're actually pretty good at them. And so, because we know that we're good at them, we struggle to let go. We struggle to outsource. Well, I know how to do that, so I might as well just do it myself. Or because we don't enjoy doing it, we procrastinate. We put these things off. And so then it takes us even longer to take care of them. You know, one example that I'll admit to, I spent 10 years in the 24/7 world of crisis communications and government affairs. I can write a press release. Do I want to write a press release? No, I do not. So for me, even though I am good at knocking out a press release, pitching the media, the level of passion that I have for it is so low that it absolutely benefits me to outsource that type of work so it gets done, or else it's not happening. So this is the stuff that you're good at, but you don't enjoy. And then finally, our desire zone, AKA our genius zone. So these are the things that we are highly passionate about. These are the things that we absolutely love doing. And we're also highly proficient at doing them. We're good at this stuff. And that proficiency can be natural. Perhaps you have a natural talent, or that proficiency could have come from years of study and skill cultivation. It doesn't matter how you get to that level of proficiency, but the fact is that it's there. This is the work that is easy to you, and you love doing it. And chances are this is what you're known for. So let's talk about that fifth zone that was kind of a loner over to the side. So that's our development zone. Your development zone is filled with items that you have a pretty high passion for. You're interested in these things. You love doing them, but you're not so good at them yet. You need work. You need some improvement. But the thing is that these are the skills that could make their way into that genius zone with a bit more skills cultivation. This is when you recognize an opportunity. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's public speaking. A lot of entrepreneurs love storytelling. They love sharing their vision. They love communicating and advocating on behalf of what they love, but maybe they just haven't quite cultivated the skills to create a coherent talk. And so that development zone is like a parking lot for those items that don't quite fit in the other zones, but they have the potential to move into the genius zone. So here's another look at that genius zone roadmap as a whole. Your distraction zone, your drudgery zone, your disinterest zone, your desire zone, and your development zone. Now, when you are living in your genius zone, you are truly living as the visionary in your business and as the visionary in your life. And so now that we've talked through what those activities are in your genius zone, how to completely zero in on what's in your unique genius zone, let's dive into some tools. Because there are 4 tools that every visionary must have in order to be successful. Those 4 tools are some type of calendar. And these might seem like no-brainers, but they're always worth restating. A calendar, a capture tool, a tool for collaboration, and a tool for client management. So that 4-part visionary toolbox includes a calendar, a capture tool, a collaboration tool, and something for client management. I'll dive into each one and share a few ideas in case you are searching for a tool that might be missing from your visionary toolbox. So first up is a calendar. As a time management coach, obviously, my very first recommendation for your Genius Zone toolbox, your visionary toolbox, is going to be a calendar. And I always recommend it being something that is digital, shareable, has both a desktop version and an app. We're on the go. We have to move with the speed of life. And having something that goes with you everywhere that can be updated, that is the type of calendar that a visionary needs. So if there are any paper planner fans in the audience, I love a good paper planner, but this is the time to step up and make it digital. My top recommendations are always Google Calendar, Outlook, and my third place tool would be iCal. And if you use Google Calendar as your primary calendar, use the matching app for your phone. If you use Outlook for your calendar, use the matching app for your phone. Again, to many, this is going to seem like a no-brainer, but we want our technology to play nice with each other. We want to make sure that everything works together. So next up is our capture tool. And a capture tool, for some of us, this is just going to look like a notebook. And for some of us, this is going to be a little bit more high tech. So so a capture tool, in so many words, is just a place to put things. It's a place to capture all of those big ideas, your notes, your projects, your files. You know, how often have you been in a meeting and you've taken some notes and you've had some amazing ideas and just brainstorm moments come from this meeting? And then it's 2 weeks later and you can't remember where you took those notes. So then you're scrambling. Okay, did I put them in a Google Doc? Was it in this notebook? Did I put it in my phone notes? When you have a capture system, you're not just taking notes and putting them somewhere. you're taking your notes and you're putting them in a consistent place every time. I highly recommend having 3 different capture tools, 3 different drop spots, I like to call them. One should be high tech, one should be low tech, and then one should be a physical drop spot. Your high tech should be something like Google Drive, Dropbox, Trello, GoodNotes. All of these are amazing digital options because there's a desktop version, there's an app version. They sync, they go everywhere with you. They're shareable, they're printable, they have amazing technology. I mean, the AI that's being added to so many of our tools to do some of the work for us is unreal. Your low-tech spot, I recommend having 1 notebook. 1. Not a notebook for this project and a notebook for this project and a folder for this project and a folder for this project. 1 notebook so that you always know where to go. And then finally, a physical inbox so that you have a physical drop spot for those items that don't necessarily fit in a notebook or in a digital drop spot. Something as simple as a box, a file tray in your office. And then the last thing I want to add is that being crystal clear about the purpose of each tool will clarify how you use it. So you'll remember every time I need to take notes in a meeting, I open up a Google Doc. Every time I process XYZ reimbursements, it goes into Trello, whatever it is. Just be very clear about the purpose of each tool. So the next tool that any visionary must have to be successful is a collaboration tool. So this is basically going to be a method for communicating with your team, assuming that you have a team either of employees, contractors, whatever it is, having a consistent method to communicate with your team. Ideally, your collaboration tool is going to have both a desktop version and an app version. Again, we want to be on the go. It's going to have file sharing capabilities, even better if there are timestamps and saved communication histories to reference, as well as the ability to have group messages for a team and direct messages for one-on-one. Slack is very often the first thing that comes to mind, but programs like Trello, Asana, Basecamp, Monday.com also have a lot of this functionality so that you're able to keep all of your team and project communication taking place exactly where the project work is happening. I mean, this is even more critical now that so many of our teams are distributed, hybrid, and remote. And then finally, the last tool, the 4th tool that every visionary needs in their toolbox is some kind of client management tool. So there are a wide range of examples of these tools that are different from industry to industry, but at its core, you need a place to keep track of your client work or your customer engagement. This is your CRM. This is something that serves to capture project status, something that you're able to do billing and invoicing from, something that holds your contracts and your contacts, almost an all-in-one hub for client management. So a few examples that I'm familiar with include programs like Dubsado, fantastic for invoicing, updating project status, things like Honeybook, 17 Hats, and you can even go as basic as using something like a Google Sheet to keep track of your client management. But a pile of Post-it notes and a legal pad do not make a client management tool. We want to have something that's just as nimble as we are and can move just as fast as our business moves. So if you are missing any of these 4 tools, your next step is to ask yourself, okay, which of these tools do I need to explore? Which of these tools do I need to make sure that I have in my visionary toolbox? Okay. So we've identified what our genius zone is, what activities are in our genius zone, and you're equipped with your 4-part visionary toolbox. So let's be visionaries. But how do we carve out the time to be in future vision casting mode, to set the course, to chart the stars, to chart the path for our business? So here are 3 ways that you can become the visionary in your business and fully step into that leadership role. And those 3 ways are to eliminate, automate, and delegate. eliminate, automate, and delegate. So we'll start with eliminating to become the visionary. To start, grab your Genius Zone roadmap and take a look at what's not in your Genius Zone. That's your first clue. That's your first hint at where you can begin outsourcing. And I really challenge you, out of those things that fall in your distraction zone, your drudgery zone, your disinterest zone, can you just cut 10%? Can you just cross them off and stop doing them? You know, it's amazing. Whenever you really sit down and do a full-on time audit and look at how you're spending your time over the course of a week, the things that you can uncover in your business that just don't need to be done. I mean, we live in a world where time is money, and the success of our businesses depend on how we spend that time. And so I encourage you to be ruthless. Even if that terrifies you, just the exercise of trying to find 10% to cut will get your wheels turning about what your opportunities are and if you're spending your time where it really counts. Next, what we can't eliminate, can we automate? So take a look at what's left. Of that 90% that's left, what can be automated with processes? What can be things that are repetitive, things like invoicing, things like social media? What tasks do you have that can be automated? Things like subscribe and save, and I'll get into that in just a bit. And one thing that I find to be very helpful is to just sit around and chat with other friends in your industry, people with similar businesses, and find out what they're automating and how they're automating. A few examples for automation tools. I'm not even going to get into the depth and breadth of the conversation on AI right now, but it is so much fun. And if you have not played around with ChatGPT yet, oh my goodness, dive in. You can basically have your very own junior copywriter right there in your laptop. But things for invoicing, things like instead of manually creating invoices, and again, for many of you, you haven't created an invoice manually in years. But some of you who are starting out, if you're still manually creating invoices and manually sending invoices and manually following up with clients, wondering where their payments are, automate that. Check out Xero, Dubsado, Honeybook, Wave. There are so many amazing programs out there that will do it for you so you can get your time back. Same with scheduling. The back and forth of, hey, is Tuesday at 2 o'clock good for you? No. Can you do Wednesday? What time on Wednesday? No, I can't do Wednesday anymore. Something has come up. Eliminate it. Using a scheduling program like Calendly, Acuity, even programs like Dubsado have scheduling within them. Clockwise, there are so many amazing scheduling automation tools. And then with social media, again, looking for opportunities to schedule your social media. There are so many amazing examples of programs that can just do it for you. So look for opportunities to automate. And then when you think about your home life, you can take automation beyond how you spend your time in your work and look for opportunities to automate in your personal life as well so you can spend more of your downtime being present. If your bill pay is not automated, add that to your list. Amazon Subscribe and Save is a huge time saver for everything from office supplies, health and beauty, pet supplies, meal services. So you're cutting back on grocery shopping, having groceries delivered. And if there is a product that exists, there is probably a subscription service for it. You know, so much time is wasted driving from point A to point B to pick up things that can be sent straight to our house. When you are a founder, when you are a CEO, when you're a solopreneur, that time is precious. And if you're not spending it on your business, you want to spend it with your family. You want to spend it resting. You want to spend it doing the things that you love. So take these things off your plate with automation. And then finally, if you can't eliminate it and you can't automate it, let's delegate it. So if you can't automate it, we're going to look at delegating it because chances are this is something that requires a human touch, some type of human touch. So I encourage you to take a look at what's left, the things that you haven't eliminated, the things that you haven't automated, and make a list. Now, of that list, let's put it in order. Your priorities, what you rank first to last of that list of things that you want to delegate, it's going to be different based on you, your business, your strength, your genius zone. Prioritizing that list gives you a place to start. Maybe you prioritize the thing that you hate the most. And so once you've made that list and you've prioritized those things that you want to outsource, now's the time to tighten up your SOPs, your standard operating procedures. A friend of mine actually calls them BOBs, the best operating breakdown. Instead of SOPs, she has BOBs. So tighten up your SOPs. Next time you find yourself doing this task that you want to delegate, use a program like Tango that can capture every single step of the way for you and then create this amazing AI-generated SOP for you. Record yourself with a Loom video talking through the process so that you have this screen record to share. And then organize your training materials. Again, it doesn't, just like we talked about our capture system, it doesn't serve anyone if you have this SOP over here and this checklist over here and this Loom video over here. Put everything into some kind of a training folder, a Trello board with training materials. I use Asana, and I have an Asana board that's called How to Do. And every single card, every single task on this Asana board is an SOP that describes how to do something in my business. So anytime a contractor or a new team member is onboarded, they go straight to how to do before they ask me how to do something. And so when you're looking for someone to delegate to, who do you delegate the work to? Fortunately, we have so many different options. Being in Baton Rouge, we've got access to a huge pool of talented interns at our local colleges and universities. I was actually an intern for a number of different organizations in the community that not only took work off of my boss's plate, but it empowered me and gave me skills that I was able to use in future job interviews. So depending on what you need to be outsourced, you can reach out to your local journalism school, mass communication school, and find out about intern programs and see if that's something that your business would be eligible to participate in. You can work with virtual assistants who specialize in different areas of expertise. Currently, I have a virtual assistant that specializes in marketing and a virtual assistant that specializes in customer success. And so having the two of them on my team is indispensable. Local hires, of course, hiring contractors on a project basis, as well as looking for freelancers on websites like Fiverr and Upwork. For my podcast, the voiceover artist was this amazing Canadian voiceover artist I found on Fiverr. And I don't know how else I would have found someone. And so there are always opportunities to be creative and find help. And so if you are a visionary, if you are in that role, you've got that creativity. So just let it go, let it fly. And then finally, looking for opportunities to delegate your home and personal tasks. Delegation can go way beyond just your business. By having a Shipt shopper or an Instacart shopper do the work for you, by hiring someone from TaskRabbit to come and assemble your new IKEA furniture piece, or to hire a local concierge or organizing service to tackle some project in your home, you don't always have to be the one to do it all. So, at this point, elimination, automation, and delegation. I want you to stop right now and think about what your next step is. Is your next step to do that sweep of your genius zone and identify your 10% to cut? Are you going to look into opportunities to harness AI and start automating? Or are you going to look into a local internship program to see if you can not only get some help in your business, but also pour into a future entrepreneur? So today, that's what we've done. We've identified what's in your genius zone. What is at the intersection of your passion and your proficiency? We've filled your 4-part visionary toolbox with a calendar system, a capture tool, something for collaboration, and something for customer management. And we've covered 3 ways that you can fully step into being the visionary by eliminating, automating, and delegating. And just to say thank you for joining the session today, I've actually put together a completely free guide, my 7-step guide to doing less and living more, that will walk you through the process of taming your to-do list, eliminating, automating, and delegating. And you can find it at annadkornick.com/brew. All right. Well, thank you again so much for having me. This has been such a treat to spend time with you. I would love to stay in touch. You can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of Instagram. I've actually been giving a full behind the scenes of my day today over there. Would love to hang out. And I invite you to tune into my podcast, It's About Time, with new episodes going live every single Monday, wherever you listen to podcasts. So, all right. Thank you again so much for having me. Now, go be the visionary. Thank you.